Hi, it's Ann Brennan with ASMM Digital Marketing, and it's episode 27. This is crazy. I just started this so that we could help our clients be seen more, and then I realized we could help businesses everywhere be seen more, and that leads us to what's happening today, which is I'm interviewing Charlotte Rehn, who's a dear friend from, we knew each other in London, England, but she's now in Denmark, in Copenhagen, Denmark. So how cool is that we can help businesses all over the world by just introducing them and letting them tell you a little bit about what they do and how you as a business owner can use the lessons they've learned. And maybe you can use their business. So there's a lot of ways we can connect here. So I'm really excited about it. You can leave comments today. If you leave them, we can put you up on the screen. If you want to use this as a shameless plug, we love that too. So you can say, hi, I'm Bob from Bob's Big Boy, whatever it is, and give your business a little bit of a plug, and we'll put you up there and let people see you. So let's go on. I want to talk a little bit about Burgers and Bands. If you've watched us at all, if you know anything about us, you know that we started Burgers and Bands for Suicide Prevention, which is a charity that's dedicated to stopping suicide. And we have our first big event was supposed to be actually this coming weekend, this coming Sunday. So I'm trying not to be sad about the fact that we had to cancel it. But I do want to say that we were supposed to raise $100,000 at this event, and we won't, and which means a lot of schools aren't going to be funded. We thought we'd be able to fund all of our grants out of this one event this year, and we're not. So if you could please make a donation at burgersandbands.org, we would love it very much. Or if you could just share and tell people about burgersandbands.org, that would be wonderful. We'd love that. I want to go on to YouTube and how you're going to find us. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter, and we're on Facebook. So you can find us at any of those. We would really appreciate subscribers over at YouTube. So if you can help us out, my kids will think I'm less nerdy if I have more than 500 followers. And right now I'm under 500. So help me out there. All right, I'm going to introduce you to my dear friend, Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. How are you?
Hello. I'm so pleased to see you. Thank you so much for inviting me to come along on your live stream today. I've been very impressed with you.
It's so much fun. And I told everybody yesterday, I said, tune in because we are going to talk about stress. We are going to talk about things like that. But the truth is, I think people will be a fly on the wall of our friendship, which, happened because we were both expats in England. We didn't have family there. We had just our, immediate family. And we became really great friends that way. So it was one of my favorite times in my life, actually. Probably the hardest time I ever left.
Yeah. I can understand that. And remind me, when was it you left? It was
left in 2004.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, so it's for those of you who know us personally, when we were in last year, actually, was it last year? We had Nikolai over. Nikolai is your youngest son, and he, when I left, he was maybe what we would call a kindergartner here in the States. And anyway, he came. He was an intern with us. But the cutest thing, Charlotte, I don't think I ever told you this. I have a picture. Is it in this office? It's not. Shoot, I should have had it so I could show you. I have a picture of him, and he's making this really cheeky face he used to make when he was little. And when he came to our house, he it was so sweet because I was in the office, which was in the other room, and he came to ask a question, and he made that same cheeky face, and it was like my heart just was like so warmed by it. So I love him so much.
Oh, well, likewise.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, we were going to talk a little bit about life as an expat and what it's like. So can you tell us what it was like? You gave up everything to go to London and follow your husband, and tell us more about that.
Yeah, I believe we sort of
Oh no, Charlotte, I am frozen, or you're frozen for a minute. There you go. All right.
Yeah. And, we gave up our careers. I was trained as a lawyer and working as a project manager, and we decided to go to London and for my husband to work in banking. And the children were quite young. They were 6 months and 3.5. And of course, I came to school in England, and it was very different from back home in Denmark. And we were sort of, on the first day, we talked to the headmaster and were told that if the children didn't learn how to read at the age of 5.5, it was considered a failure. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, what is this? Back in Denmark, the children don't start until they're 6. But of course, I would just remember the headmistress, she said to me, but Mrs. Rehn, we cannot pretend we're in Denmark, so we had to sort of adapt. And of course, the children learned how to read at the age of 5.5. So it's just one of those things that...
I had no idea. So I told you, you're going to be a fly on the wall here, guys. I had no idea. So Mr. Stonehouse was relatively new when we got there.
Before Mr. Stonehouse, yeah. I don't think he would ever call, any of the children a failure if they didn't read at the age of 5.5. He was he was full of empathy, and he was very, very nice. But
he was just the kindest man. When he passed away, I was so sad.
Yeah,
he was the headmaster when our children were there. So
yes,
yeah. For those who are watching, so I hope you're going to be a fly on the wall. But you mentioned the fact that you lose your identity. You're there, and you're, especially for us, because we both had careers before we went, and then here we are, moms, and that was kind of all we were. And it felt like an all you were, right? Which is a big thing to be, but it felt not like that. So
at some point you get a bit frustrated and say, what's the purpose of me being here once the children start going to school? And I just remember you were a runner, and you took me out for runs, and I used to hate running, but slowly but surely we built up, just running 20 minutes without stopping, and you had this whole thing of walk for a minute, go run for a minute, and just building up slowly. And then you took me to my first 5K race, and you said to me, and I will never remember this, now you're a runner. And that gave me a whole new identity, and it was like a turning point for me.
We had so much fun doing that, and I just like I said, some of my best memories are of either running or of us spending time in coffee shops together. So we did both, but my favorite really was when we ran into from Wimbledon into London, and we saw the Buckingham. What are the Horse Guards in front of Buckingham Palace? And that was just really a neat experience.
That's amazing. Yeah, we ran all the way from Wimbledon Windmill and through all the parks and to Buckingham Palace and back up to Waterloo Station, had a big bagel, and then we took the train back home again.
Exactly. Those were my favorite runs. I call them my getting lost runs, because I never knew where I was going to end up. Yeah. And, I could always take a train home. So it was fun. So, all right. Well, we should talk about what we came home for, which is stress, because you're a sports massage therapist, but you have a focus on stress. So can you tell people how that started and what you do?
Yeah. So since I got back from London in 2016, after Brexit, I started working as a massage therapist in a small company in Copenhagen, and I started noticing a lot of the employees who came in, they were very stressed out, and you could sort of just hear them, their breathing, and the way they run, they walk, they talk, you start speed talking, and you sort of sense that it gets quite physical. So once you get them on the couch and they start opening up and telling about their aches and pains, you realize that sometimes these stresses are not only from work life, but also from personal experiences, from what they're going through, in their private lives, and you get to know people very closly. And I thought at some point, I need to know more about stress and how I can help my clients overcome not only everyday stresses, but also, stresses from looking after an elderly parent, or it could be of being diagnosed themselves with an illness, or it could be going through a divorce, it could be a number of things. Moving house is quite stressful, so I just needed more tools really to be able to assist them.
Right. Well, and you said that. I think that one of the things there's so many major changes in your life, and sometimes they're good, changes, but they still give you stress, right? I mean, moving to my house, it was wonderful, but it was also, I was exhausted from just this pure stress of it. I literally woke up the morning we were moving and said to Blaze, what if we hate the house? I know we picked it, but what if we hate it? So you get that. So that stress does, I do want to, before we go into, how you deal with that, I do want to say, are there times when stress is good?
Absolutely. I mean, stress is what makes us get up in the morning. It's what motivates us to get on with our daily lives and, to reach our goals. But when it gets, long-term stress, weeks and months and years, and you get physical symptoms, like you can get, muscle aches and pains and tensions, stomach aches, or, feeling nervous, heartbeats, feeling nauseous, or, once it starts changing behavior and you start saying, okay, I just got to do this and I got to do that. And, after a while, you just keep saying, oh, I'm so busy, and you don't even notice, how far out you are. And but one day, suddenly the body will say, okay, stop. You can't carry on like this. That's when you need to start, making changes to your life.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. And I think too many people don't pay attention to those little things that are happening. I have a headache, or I have a stomach ache, or whatever it is. I'm running. I'm running slower because my hips hurt more, which doesn't sound like it would be something from stress, but your body's reacting.
Yes.
So I think it is. Yes, there are times where it motivates you, but when it starts causing those things, you've got to start thinking about, okay, so what's next, right?
Yeah.
So. And asking for help, and we'll talk about when it goes beyond stress as well, because you've been there, you've seen it happen. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But for everyday stress that is really, really getting to you, how do you learn to deal with it? What are some of the techniques you can use?
Well, sleep is actually the best medicine against stress. Making sure that you get a good quality sleep. Make sure you are regular going to bed, about the same time, and try and keep your mobile phones out of the bedroom, and not to have your phone turned on, and make sure that you're just relaxed and prepare for the night. I noticed that you talked about meditation.
Yes. Yeah. I love meditation. So, I have to tell you, I'm vigilant about my sleep. I am like, I have to sleep. And so I have blackout curtains. I have a noisemaker in the room. I read for a little bit, and then I have a routine that I go through that this is okay. Now it's time to go to sleep. And I also have, like, my husband was in bed the other day and he was reading something and he goes, uh-oh. And I said, what? And he goes, I'll tell you in the morning. Because he knows that if he mentions that one thing, that it's going to put, what had happened was he'd gotten a estimate for our roof. He's like, I'll tell you in the morning. Like, that'd be good. That'd be good. So I think you have to be protective of your sleep. So I think that's really important. Do you do something in particular to protect your sleep?
Well, I just, I tend to, what helps me is, going for long walks and being naturally tired. So I enjoy being out in nature, and, practicing what we're going to talk about next is, having a positive mental attitude, and, giving thanks. So I like to look back on my day and say, okay, what was good about today, and what was I grateful for? And that actually starts a good spiral, because if you are you express your gratitude, then you can sort of rest in peace. Okay, this has been a good day, and you can sleep better. So that's what I tend to do.
I love that idea. And I wake up every morning and do it, but I hadn't thought about doing it before bedtime. I think it's because if you focus, you can only focus on one thing at a time. Right? So if you're focusing on the positive before you go to bed, you're focusing on the things that were great about your day,
Yes.
then it's hard to focus on the things that might, whirl around your head for the next several hours. So I like that idea. I like it.
It works for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So, all right. So what's your second tip for
well, also, you mentioned, worrying, and sometimes we just got to accept, that there are events that you can't control, and maybe just try and be in the now, and just say, okay, certain things are outside my control. I can't do anything about it, and there's no need to worry because it's going to happen anyway. So no matter how much I worry, that's not going to help anything.
Right.
Does it make sense to you? I mean, it's yeah.
Well, it does. And somebody said, how many of the things have you worried about? Somebody told me this one time. How many things have you worried about that never came to fruition?
Exactly.
And then you just spent all that time wasted on it, right?
Absolutely.
And I do that all the time. It's almost a hobby to me to be a worrier. So I have to work on it. I have to think about it. Yeah.
And just try to, I find it, important that, practicing the mindfulness and just trying to be in the now and say, okay, what, if there's anything I can do about it, then I can make a plan for it. But if it's outside my control, I can't do anything about it. So I might just let it go.
Right.
No amount of worrying is going to solve the problem.
Ethan's very smart. Ethan says to me, control the controllables.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's, so when I ran my Ironman, which is the biggest thing I ever did.
Yes.
He said, control the controllables. Make sure that you're only focused on what you can control. Yes, it might rain, but do you have a raincoat? Do you have a hat? Because I can't stand my face to get that wet. So have a hat, right? So it makes it a lot easier if you think about, okay, so if this goes wrong, what can I do?
Exactly.
And then you're like, okay, so then I'm covered. So so we're in the big part of
NASA, and I know that's one of the techniques that the astronauts are using. Say, okay, what can go wrong, and they have to come up with a solution as to come up with an idea. How can I deal with that? And if that doesn't work, I have to come up with another solution. So a plan A and a plan B until everything is all possibilities are explored and exhausted. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of NASA. So I literally, Charlotte, you weren't there when it happened, but I had the best opportunity in the entire world. And yes, seeing the rocket launch was super cool. But when I went down to Houston and I went with NASA, and they let a small group of us go into the room. So you can sometimes see the room from a viewing area, but we actually got to go into the room where they launched, the whole Apollo mission. And I cried. I walked in and I cried. I was like, oh, this is like the coolest thing that ever happened to me. So yes. So I love that.
Experience to remember, and keeping a diary of those happy thoughts can be very helpful as well when you feel a bit stressed out, and just looking back on all the happy memories. That's another way of looking at it.
I love that. I wonder, you just keep a happiness journal that you only put in there what you're happy with. That's a great idea. So I'm going to write that down, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. How about a third? You said you have a third one for us as well.
Well, we talked about the running, and we talked about the first 5K race we did. And after that we did 10K race, 15, and the half marathon, and the full marathon distance. And we talk about how to do the chunking, because as you tend to say, you can't eat an elephant in one go. You have to just take it one bite at a time. Or as another client of mine said, there's a Chinese saying that every journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important for a small business owner, right? Because you watch other people and you see them start these businesses and their business is so great. And you're like, but you miss, somebody asked me, I guess 2 days ago, I was interviewed by Connie Fuchsa, and she asked me a question, and she's like, so how did you get where you are? And I thought, I started this business in 2016, but the truth is it started in 2009 when I started Anne's Running Commentary.
Yes.
And I learned about social media all that time.
Yeah.
So it's been, people are like, how is Anne ASMM so successful now? Like, it really started way back then, and I made no money for 9 years before I started doing anything. So it is a slow journey, and you have to be nice to yourself and know that it's going to take time. You have to get one client before you can get 10, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
exactly.
I'm sure, running has taught you a lot about, the chunking as well, and, how to, start your business and making bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and also about networking is very important. The whole running community was very helpful, I found.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Incredibly, helpful and supporting.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, and and that was probably, I hadn't thought about that either, Charlotte. Yes, that's probably where I learned to network, was in my running community. So I want to talk about community now, though, because we talked about the fact that people are coming back. They're coming back, and they're I don't know. Are you guys opening things there now in Denmark?
Yes. We are so lucky. We are very fortunate that the government, they closed down quite quickly. Obviously, the lockdown was a great shock to most of us, and it's been like a roller coaster ride. Because I was sort of fully booked with clients for 3.5 weeks ahead, and then suddenly the announcement came, and then we were not allowed to offer massages any longer, and the clinic was closed. And I was like walking like a lion in a cage, and it's been, I was walking around in circles. I felt I had to do something active in order to make a difference. And so I volunteered for the British Red Cross to do shopping for the elderly, and I looked after jobs in the health sector, and I applied for jobs to assist with the admin of aging small businesses, but all in vain, because for some reason or other, the jobs were taken back, by others. But then I thought, okay, what can I do then? And then I decided to take up Nordic walking again. So that's been another, activity I enjoy doing. And I used to run classes for 12 years in London. And that's been a great way of building communities as well. And I've probably got some, listeners today joining in who used to be my Nordic walking clients. And it's just been, a great way of building a community.
Right. Yeah. No, and I missed that. I left and you started the Nordic walking, and I was so jealous because you did the coolest things with that group and I wasn't a part of it. Yeah. And actually, I will say this, one of the things that I wish there was more of here, you see, I do a lot of networking, but one of the things that we had in London that was so different than here in the States is that there's not as many people aren't as open to friendships as they were when we were in London. And maybe it was because we were expats, but I don't know if that was true. So,
I mean, we were all in the same boat, and same thing now during these times. I think what we taught, at least in Denmark, is that we have to work together. We have to stay at home. We have to, keep distance and everything else. And I think, people have been listening. They've been paying attention to the health authorities, and they've been, so I think actually here after about 10 weeks, we are so lucky that we can reopen our businesses. And of course now we, have to take special measures and wear masks and everything else.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy. I'm so grateful to be back in business. I mean, it's so good to be able to make a difference again.
Yeah, exactly. And Charlotte, you were talking about chunking, and I think that's, I have a feeling you're going to be really lucky in your business because people have probably been dying to get back to you, right? So you're probably going to be booked out for, a long, long time.
Yeah.
But there are going to be people who are almost starting over.
Mm.
And, we talked about the pumpkin. So I do think you have to focus on that. You have to say, okay, I know I'm stressed out right now, but I built this business once and I can build it again and people will come back, but I have to be patient. I have to be patient and take that first client so I can get a second client and I can get 10, right? Because it's not all good. I think hairstylists and massage therapists and some of those guys are going to be, I cannot wait to get to the hairstylist again.
Well, I can tell you, I'm already fully booked again, 3.5 weeks.
It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't at all because I've been watching people and I'm like, those are the industries. Whereas I think some industries are going to be nervous about, whether their businesses do well. But I do think a positive attitude makes a big difference. I think, you hear the positive mindset all the time, but if you said it, if you focus on what you're grateful for before you go to bed at night, then you're focusing on what you're grateful for and positive things come from that. But if you focus on the bad, you're likely to have more bad.
And I think it makes you more creative as well when you appreciate what's been going, well, and you start thinking about, okay, how can I help these, people in different ways? And so, I'm both a personal trainer, a sports massage therapist, and also the Nordic walking instructor, and now stress coach. And so sometimes when the more eggs you got in your basket, you can use them in different ways and different times. So if you're going through a crisis, you just have to think, okay, so how can I use this skill? And this is how I started with the Nordic walking with my clients who are stressed out. So you sort of combine it in different ways.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it too. And to realize I was just reading last night. I didn't even share it because I read it and then I somehow didn't share it. But I read about the fact that we tell our children that, Zane's a musician and we're like, practice, 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 and stick with your guitar. Drums aren't that important. I know you play drums, but not that important. Practice your guitar, right? And this article said that's not true, that it's people who have multiple things that they do. Whether it's an athlete who played baseball and basketball and lacrosse, who's going to be the better athlete going forward. And it's people who have, what you said, multiple things that are going to help you go forward.
Yeah,
So.
No, I completely agree with you. And it's just one of my core beliefs that the more things that you have knowledge about or master or work together with other people, the stronger you will become together. Standing together, it makes you stronger.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So,
there's something I tell people about you all the time, and you said earlier, there are things that we talk about each other, right? There's things that we say, but the thing that got me, I love how interested you are in things and how deeply you go. And so when you were, and you had your second language was English.
Yes.
But you didn't just speak English like, just like I learned this in school. You were always interested in the sayings. So you would hear somebody say something and you'd write it down and say, what does that mean? What is this? And how do I put it into, so I remember the word bollocks coming up and us saying, maybe that's a word we shouldn't say. But yeah, I do, it's funny. It's something that curiosity you have has run through your life, and it's probably been, well, it's also run through your children. But, I saw it in Nikolai when he was here. It's a really great thing about you. It's a really positive thing about you.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's important to be curious about other people. So I do ask a lot of questions, and being open and just trying to be authentic and truthful to yourself. And also, just listen to your own body. And I think it's so important to stay in, connection, just take time up, stop, and just sit in nature and just listen to your body. What is it trying to tell you? And that will sort of, give you some calmness.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's totally true. So, all right. So if you had if there's one thing you could tell people about stress in their life, what would it be?
One thing.
I know, right?
That's such a question. That's a very big question. Stay in the now. Stay in the now. Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know,
So,
whatever happens, just, and I heard, actually, there was a teacher who told me this just the other day, one of my clients, and she was teaching small children, and there were, you know, so many changes happening within, you know, a few days, all of these, you know, new regulations, rules I had to adhere to. And she just said to me, my biggest lesson here is to just stay in the now and take things as they come. Try not to complain about them, but just accept them. There are certain things that are outside our control, and that's okay. But just stay in the now and, you know, deal with them as they come. And that gets us back to the chunking, I think.
yeah, I think that's right. I want to go. I'm going to pull up Burgers and Bands again because I want to say something that I think is important. Stress is one thing, right? Stress is something you can learn to deal with. It's something you can use some coping skills to come through, and you can go for a run, and you're like, oh, you know, my kids used to say, Mom, go for a run, you need one, because I'd get cranky, right? And so a run would help. Well, when that stopped, then I realized it was no longer stress and it was anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's when I think you need to ask for help,
Mm.
right? That's when you need to find somebody who can help you and guide you through that.
Mm.
So I'm guessing that's what a stress coach does. That you can help people to if they start heading down the anxiety trail.
Mm. Yeah, then we definitely need to, you know, refer to a professional who can help with the, you know, if it becomes and it goes into anxiety. But you know, talking helps, and I believe very much in the ABC for mental health. You probably learned about it when you went to Australia as well, or you went to New Zealand.
No, I went to New Zealand, but what is the ABC for? I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I believe it started in Australia, and it's about, you know, doing something active and belonging, and to and committing. So A is for act, B is for belong, and C is for commit. And that's what you're really doing. This is what you're practicing with your Bergens and Band. You're doing something for, you're acting, you're building up a community for something that's meaningful. And I very much admire you for doing this, and for raising all this money, and for you know, giving money back to the communities and to those who've been, you know, sadly been, you know, had suicide in their families. Or it's incredibly important for them to feel that they're part of a community, they're not alone. And you know, I can only you know, praise. I can't really praise you enough for everything you're doing for people with mental health issues.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, it's been a real blessing for us, honestly. It's been a real blessing for us. I mean, people say that all the time. They thank me, and I'm like, oh, we get so much out of it. It's been really wonderful for us.
Yeah.
So I want to tell people how they can find you, and then we're going to tell them that later they're going to be able to find you in a couple of different ways. So right now they can find you as Charlotte Rehn on Facebook, and there are not a lot of Charlotte Rehns out there. It's not a name you hear a lot, so you should be relatively easy. They can connect with you there, send you a message. But you have a Facebook page coming up soon. We're going to work on that, and you're working on the website as well, right?
Marvelous. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, and if you're like, I can't reach Charlotte, reach out to me and I can reach her. I'm hoping to lure her this way, but I know Ethan is dying to come to Denmark, so you might see him.
Oh, absolutely, he's going to be so welcome. You know, and
yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
And tell your kids hi from me. I've missed them. They're just great kids, and you know, we talk about Nikolai in our office all the time. So we just adored him. It was great to have him here.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you so much, Anne, for having me. It's been wonderful seeing you again. And
yeah, I'm so glad. It's been like, oh, I was so excited all week. This is the one that I was like, I can't wait. So it's great. All right, let's talk about, so tomorrow I have Jerry Schwartz of BNI for Sure on. He's going to talk about networking in the time of social distancing, because we can still do it. You know, we can all still network, and it's important, probably more now than ever, because if you build a nice referral group, you got something good going for you, right?
I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you moved to Denmark and restarted a career. You know, it's something completely different than what you've been doing. So I think that, you know, you're good example of that. You couldn't have done that without people you knew.
No, well, yeah, yes, yeah, but well, I think it's just important. It's just sometimes just go and knock on people's doors and saying, "Hello, here am I. Here I am."
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
this is how rather than sending lengthy letters or phone calls, just go and knock on doors and say, "Okay, this is what I need," and I've met so much helpfulness, and I'm very grateful for people who've taken me in.
Yeah, no, you've done a great job. You've done a great job. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow. That'll be episode 28 of Small Business Connections. Also, kind of exciting news, and I should have said this at the beginning of the episode. We are starting a podcast. We've actually taken all of our episodes. We've pulled out the audio. Whitney is putting it up. We should have it. And my exciting news, I'm not going to say it out loud because she's over there. You will be able to tell your Alexa to play our podcast soon. So we're excited about that. You're having your breakfast, you can listen to our podcast in the morning. So we're really excited about that. We'll see you tomorrow with Jerry Schwartz. And Charlotte, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you ever so much, Anne. I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.